What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. This podcast brings in guests, individuals from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life to share their stories, their journeys, the in-between, the ins and outs of their journey and what led them to where they're at today. We touch on a multitude of different topics, and we do not throw anything off the table. Listen to this and find some inspiration, relate, and connect with people from all over the place. If this is for you, please like, share, subscribe, put it out there. If that is not for you, I don't know what your problem is, because you're missing out on some solid stuff. Check it out. Also, someone's calling me. Gotta get that silence. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, you literally just went through both your phones.
God, don't bother me.
Business owner.
And it's a spam call. It's a number I don't even recognize.
I want to know who sold all the numbers, like for business owners. And I want to find them and be like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
How much money did you get paid to sell that out?
Right? I know. But without further ado, I want to introduce to you someone who's been on here before a little bit of time ago. Mr. Jeff Black of Ironhouse Fitness, Strength and Conditioning.
Strength and Conditioning.
Yes.
Don't want to get sued on it.
Yeah, right.
Dude, it's great to have me back. Thank you for inviting me back. You know, me and you have become good friends. We've chatted a lot, and it's been awesome to have seen your key lime pie festival that you did where you raised money. For that young gentleman. Me and my crew came down here.
Yeah.
Saw that. That was really cool, really inspirational. You're doing some good stuff in the community. You know, people need more of that. Mm-hmm. I could turn on the news and find negativity anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't find positivity much, but when you see it, damn, it shines bright. And that day it was good stuff, man. So good job to you for doing that.
Appreciate that, man. You know, you talk about the news, and there's something to be said about the term ignorance is bliss. Oh, yeah. Right? And like, I pay attention to a degree.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get consumed by external factors.
Yeah.
I had a guy ask me a long time ago, he's like, Joe, you know, with the way the world's going, how do you just keep going forward with what you do? Like, what if what? What if something doesn't happen? I talked about this on the podcast the other night. They were like, it's getting to a point. And I'm like, yeah, but like, nobody considers the factor that tomorrow things can switch for like better. It's just like when your back's against the wall and I brought up a Lord of the Rings thing. You know, when they're in Helm's Deep and they're fighting against the orcs and stuff, and like they're like, dude, they bust down the wall, like they're overcoming, and all of a sudden you see Gandalf up there, and they're come rushing down the hill, and I was like, dude, the light always comes. So I always try to like keep that in my heart because there's some dark stuff going on, but at the end of the day, there's also light forces 100%. Doing its work, and that's always going to be the winner. So. I pay attention to a degree just to be aware of things, but I don't let it consume me because I got to stay focused on my shit.
I agree 100%, man.
You know?
Dude, but it was good to see. So we got these energy drinks here.
Yes.
So first off, toast. Second time through.
First form.
Yeah, we've
Grape Smash.
I love their lime flavor one and the orange sunrise. So I've never had this. You've never had this.
Those are the two I love.
Okay, they're phenomenal. So we're going to test this together. Yeah,
this is from their Summer Smash. They recently did their big first form party.
Oh, that's good. I'm not necessarily a big grape guy, but that's pretty good.
Dude.
Very intra-workout-y, sweet. The aftertaste isn't killer. Well, I think they might have a hit there.
Good combination. I know this is a limited run.
Yeah, I think they might have a hit there.
From their event.
Yeah, you don't get sponsored by them, and we're sitting here doing this, and that's actually really good. Those guys, they do a good product. Sal and Andy and all those guys like really have the podcast also. Good stuff, man.
I'm going to make a clip of this. But that's the whole thing. Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. They had their big, like I said, their big Summer Smash party. I kind of saw it on Instagram, or not on Instagram, but you know, on Facebook. And
careful what you say, Joe. You might get in trouble again.
Yeah. I mean, I've already said I've got like a rogue Instagram person because guess what? We keep moving forward no matter what.
Oh, that's the whole purpose of life. You can either sit down or stand back up.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. Nah, I just got to barrel through, man. It's like, get out of my way. Yeah, that's the only way. This is the only way. But no, phenomenal drink. You know, and the other ones.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
The other one should be good too. I'll have that one. But the Summer Raid. But yeah, love their products, love their stuff, love their message. Always going to support. So, but yeah, man, it's good to have you, dude. So For those of you that have followed this podcast for some time, you've seen Jeff on here before. You've got to learn his story. You know, we talked pretty heavily about everything that you've been through, everything that transpired throughout your life and led you to now. I'm sure there's plenty of other stuff we can touch on as well.
Wherever you want to go, man,
But
I'm ready.
Yeah, like we like to, you know, we get people's journeys, but we also like to bring people back on and just touch on different things.
Sounds good to
me. You know?
What do you want to touch on?
Well, what's going on in your life right now? Like currently, I know a lot of things have transpired since we spoke last on the podcast.
So, I got my book, Brittle to Unbreakable, My Journey to Redefine Suffering. So
yes,
you can pick that up on my website, jeffunbreakableblack.com, shameless plug. But it's formally going to go out there in the ether in October, November on Amazon. Nice. So I was very fortunate. The group that brought Can't Hurt Me to market by David Goggins, I went to their writers retreat that they did in 2022 in Austin. And that was kind of prepare you for the book journey process. What it'd be like to write a book. I met some great connections there. One was this guy named Hussein, who I've connected you with. Mm-hmm. And Hussein read the book and was like, I love it. I want to help you with it. And he was on the team that helped bring that amazing book to light. So I have someone in my corner who actually knows the book industry to help me get it out there and kind of do some stuff. So besides that, man, personal training's been good. I have a decent amount of online clients. I love my gym pop people. I do in-person training like you. That's always good.
Yeah.
In terms of my gym, I'm actually expanding. I'm going to go from 9,000 square feet to 15,500.
Dude.
Anywhere from 6 months to a year. Yeah, man. Like, you know, I looked at it and, you know, you can relate to this in business is you're starting to grow.
Yeah.
Scared money makes no money.
Yeah.
And that's something I've always kind of like kept in the back of my head. Like if I could I've always tried to live below my means as a business owner. My companies are debt-free.
Yeah.
I'm debt-free with the exception of a house.
Yeah.
So I've always tried to do that because that gives you room to be able to do things when you want to do it. And I got presented this opportunity, and I've worked real hard for the last 9.5 years. What started with 42 people is now right over 1,000. I don't have any more space. Like, I mean, it's a wild thing. And you know, if I'm answering honestly, you get to a point as a business owner where you give a shit more about your employees than you do yourself.
Yeah.
And creating opportunity for them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the next step is about. The opportunity. I believe I got a good team. I look at business like being in the SEC. You're always trying to recruit the best people, always trying to compete with the best. Like it's no different friendship world. You know, your inner circle, level up. It's how you and I met and kind of gotten this bond going. And I think that's kind of like been the theme of my season at 43 going into 44. It's a new level that's being asked of me. And I had to have that honest conversation. Was I willing to give more of me up to make it happen for others? And I said, sure.
Dude, that's amazing. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a very unselfish way to look at it, man. Because that's the whole thing is you're creating an impact, but you're also creating opportunity for others. That's impacting them, and you're treating them right. But it's going to be interesting to see what I'm saying in a decade. You're like a decade above me in age. So in a decade, it's like, we're going to have to talk about this again and be like, Joe, what's happening?
You know, you're going to visit me when I'm old. I'm not going to be a retirement home, just so you know. I will crap on myself out on my back patio.
No.
But I will be like, remember when I'll have like no moment of clarity except for one moment when I lectured you.
Yeah. I'm going to have to come get you just to record.
Yeah, just to record.
Get the special chair just for you.
But that's the exciting part. And that's like something, you know, I want to say this real quick. The last 6 months as a business owner, I actually got off social media. Mm-hmm. You remember that?
You just disappeared.
I had someone run it for me for a little bit, just said, here's my content. I don't want to be a part of it. And I had a chance to take a lot of meetings with a lot of different people, mentors. So you're talking people who teach me how to do Google ads, teach me how to do Instagram ads, Facebook Manager, all these different things that businesses that no business owner ever tells you that they do. They're like, no, it's all organic. I'm like, BS. It's set against you. It's not that way. Yeah. I had all these things. And it was a very interesting thought I had because a buddy of mine texted me the other day, one friend we know in our circle. And he was like, hey, man, do you think this is a good price for this business thing? And I said, well, hit me with the info. I go look inside. I'm like, bro, I've already had that for $10,000 waste of your absolute time. And I said, in comparison, I sat on a Zoom with a person who worked at Google, local to Nashville, connection I made through. Could have charged me whatever he wanted. I was taking it. Spent an hour on Zoom with me to show me how to look at Google ads better and didn't charge me a dime. Dude. None of those high level people that I met to have time taken from them to help me asked me for a single dime. And I will look around now and I see like the mentor business space. And it's like, you want 30 minutes of my time, $300.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever happened to kind of like, don't get me wrong. If someone asked me like on the 8th or 9th time through, I'm like, all right, man, like at some point there has to be an exchange. But when you're really trying to see people, where do we as a society, Joe, I guess, get to the point where we don't really genuinely help people succeed anymore? It's like, we want you to go far, but not too far.
Yeah. I mean, there's a healthy thing about competition, right? Because
agree.
I look at other brands and like in the similar space as me. And if I know them, like, dude, I'll support them. I'll buy their shit. I'm always going to do that. But like, you know, there's a healthy, like, I want to do better.
100%.
But just do better. But you don't got to like fight against them. Mm-hmm. That's counterproductive. And that's, you know, I feel like there's a karmic thing to that. Support people, but just work harder and do better then. You know, it's that simple. But, you know, you recently asked me for some help with something. And I was just going to help you. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I'd be more than happy. And then you was like, I'll pay you.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but you're creating a business endeavor.
Yeah.
And you know, and when a friend is creating a business endeavor, he still has to go feed his family.
Yeah.
He still has to go do other things that satisfy outside the qualms of what he's trying to build. And I look at people and I'm always like, it's fair to expect that. There's differences. Like you said best, Joe, I'm 10 years further along than you.
Yeah.
It's fair for me to be able to be like, hey, I was there before. No one really had helped me. My turn. I want to help other people.
Oh yeah, dude.
And that's where I think that we could all do better at, you know, like,
yeah.
Where are you at and what can you really help with? Everyone needs help. It's just a matter of, can you, will you, does it really going to go as far as it needs to make the impact happen for the change to occur?
Dude, that's freaking solid. You know, but yeah, I was thinking about this too, with you saying that, like, building a business is the hardest thing you can do.
Oh, dude, it is. It is.
I mean, there's testing things, like, I'm pretty sure in like third world countries and shit, going to war, you know, it's one thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, get what I'm saying? Like, here in America, like, that's one of the most difficult things you do, especially right now in this time. And a lot of people do it without a family, right? And they're able to just do. I talked about this with Terry from Nashville Fit. I told Lydia, I was like, oh yeah, if I didn't have y'all, I'd have a cot here. I wouldn't even have a house to pay rent on. I'd have a cot. I got a microwave. I'd get some meal prep, put in the fridge, you know, and there's a shower in the building next door. I'll just like, hey, can I throw you $100 a month just to clean up? But because I would be engulfed by this constantly, which probably wouldn't be good for my freaking brain. But, you know, building a business with a family is like a whole nother thing.
Yeah, but I want to go back to that real quick. Aren't you just wired that way?
Yeah.
Like, I've had to have that conversation with my wife lately. I've been like, look, I've really tried. I could give you Saturday and Sunday, but I can't, like, I got to really do this. Like, I feel this burning fire to just do these things. And it comes in waves. It's almost like a compulsive, obsessive, you know, and I think you're probably there at that season like I'm at. You're real hungry, ready to go. A few doubters, few little chip on your shoulders kind of mounted. And it's the point where it's like, okay, I guess I got to show everybody I still got it.
Yeah,
you know, like
exactly.
Jordan did. Remember Jordan, you know, he didn't have to dunk to still show. He would occasionally do it just to show you could still do it.
Yeah, I still got it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes in business, it's good to have competition. It's good to be challenged.
Oh, without a doubt.
And I think that's what I like to surround myself with my friends, people who challenge me, push me.
Exactly.
Mentors should be doing that. And it doesn't always have a dollar
You're raising the
amount to
bar.
it.
No, it doesn't, man. Yeah. Sometimes it's just good to, because that's going to come around. They're going to recognize the fact, especially when they succeed, they're going to recognize the fact that hey, that dude helped me. What can I do for him now? Because you're going to be in a place eventually to where you had the capability to do more for somebody else.
You want to know something? So you know that Brotherhood group that I have here, and you have your own, and I got mine.
Yeah.
So ours is based more on like the business side of Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Like the support there, like just good dudes, like, you know, when you got any problems, stuff like that. But the whole idea is that what we are building is a brotherhood where we will support each other's businesses and help each other build businesses where the interest rates are very low. Like think like Lending Tree, but smaller, like 3 to 4% interest loans. That way we can help our, like, so one of our good friends actually, you know, recently bought a company and he was like, hey, do you mind, are you interested in buying some of the debt at an interest rate and pay it out over da-da-da? So a chance to make money for me, chance to help him be able to build his own brand. And it's better because, you know, you're not a small business. You can't go to a bank today and get anything. Like they don't think gyms are worth anything because of COVID. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what anything's worth anymore. I mean, chicken's like $18 a pound. I don't even know. It's out there. But seeing that and surveying that field, I started saying like, man, imagine if like us local guys and started doing these chapters all throughout cities in the US. Women can do it too.
And
And just
that'd be
started
rad.
uniting and just getting together and be like, hey, we're going to help build each other's businesses.
Yeah.
We're going to small business build
Yeah.
these chapters and not know this shit where it's neuro-linguistic programming and we're all like, we want to make $750,000 a month and all this and calling each other losers if they're not making $5 million a year and all that. Genu will try to help and encourage because you know what? If you can sustain for 20, 30 years, what does that really do to a city's economy and community long-term? Way more than flash in the pan.
Oh, you mean we don't got to get in front of we don't got to make a video where we're like standing in front of Lambos and we're like, you want to live this lifestyle? And it shows like a clip of like a multi-million-dollar house. Then sign up for my fucking program. I see that stuff. I'm like, seriously?
My favorite's like, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I guess because I've met so many business people and you have too, none of them are that way.
No.
Not one. Like one of my friends who's like super wealthy, like drives an old beat up car. And I'm like, dude, come on. Like, let's get something that's not 2002.
Yeah.
You know?
But he's happy.
No, he's happy as shit.
Got all he needs.
So, and I don't know. I think that's where it goes back to you have the argument in business, like what's more fulfilling, the aspect of what you're building. Does the money has to come into some play. I think people are naive if they don't believe that. You have to have some motivation to be like, hey, it's worth it to justify the fights that might come at home with your partners, justify the time you miss with your kids on certain things that you got to. And that's kind of like where business ownership kind of comes at a head. You got to know where you're at, where you could go, scalability. And most importantly, Jeff Bezos said this recently, looking down the road and identifying areas that are still going to have industries 20 to 30 years from now.
Yeah.
So health, wealth, these are two areas that I know off the top of my head that will always have.
Yeah.
Always have a future.
Oh, without a doubt, man. And it, you said something about the partners and the fights and stuff like that, and like there's all the stressors, especially building a business, like, it can cause tension.
Oh, it makes
you got to communicate.
Out the ugly. It brings out the ugly.
It does,
you
man.
Care so much because you want to win so damn. At least I do.
Yeah.
Like I want to win so bad. Like I have like that righteous anger problem. I'm angry, but I'm not angry at anyone other than myself because I just want to work so damn hard to get this shit done.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's not like I'm not mad at you. You hear the words, you feel the anger, it seized, but this is me just feeling cool and expressing it in front of people, letting people see a real part of me. This is real emotions, and that's what drives me. It's not bad. I don't care what anyone says. It's not always bad. So if you could control it, it's not bad.
Well, from the outside looking in, like family, they're like, "Well, we're worried about you," and it's like, I'm like, listen, I love this shit.
But the
There's
question,
nothing to worry about.
the question I always have to everybody, and now you say this, hey, when family members say they're worried about you, all that, how many family members actually support brands when they're built? You know what I mean? Like a small business owner, like think about that.
Yeah.
Like how many?
I mean,
family
even
members,
friends.
Yeah, even friends, right? But they'll be the first people like, yo, you okay? You okay? Okay? It's like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I mean, no offense, you ain't really doing much to support what I'm doing anyway.
Yeah, like,
Appreciate you checking in, but I mean, like you know, outside of this, you don't really know what I'm doing. And that's unfortunate.
like my parents and shit, my sister, they all like fully support. Like,
your mom's a lovely woman. I met her at your
she's the shit.
prime. Yeah, no, she twinkle in her eye about you, buddy.
Yeah, my mom's amazing. She's I mean, I can't say anything better. Like the best mom in the world.
Yeah, no,
like
nice.
Jan cannot be beat. Mom, love you. You're the shit. But it's one of those things. But still, people will be worried about you. But they're not in your shoes. But it goes back to that wired thing. Like you're wired a certain way to be like, I love this fight. Like let me embrace it because, man, I've repeated this on multiple episodes recently. Probably the last few. But this guy ran a 100-kilometer race, right? He was jacked too. I was like, damn, dude, you're shredded. But he, it was like at a mountain too. And he was like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. But
that sounds awful. I'm not even into it already.
But something he said on this post was, the tougher the battle, the more difficult the battle, the greater the victory. Man, and it's just been ringing in my fucking ears for days. I'm like, yeah, dude, like this battle, man, because that victory is just going to be so sweet in the end. And now you're going to go into another battle, right? You don't just it's not over, because you're going to take on another challenge. You're going to constantly raise the bar. I don't ever want things to be easy. I want, more challenge, but you're also you got to go through those fights, man. And so you kind of just fall in love with it. You're like a warrior in your own way, just in the entrepreneurial realm. Does that make sense?
It does. But how do you beat the messaging today? Because we and you both agree the biggest war today is psychological going on. A world where it's getting easier to do everything and it's removing challenges after challenge after challenge. And you're seeing it show up in some of the workplaces. Like a lot of people get into business and don't really know how to build business. They just think like, I'll make a few Instagram posts, a few Facebook posts, Google ad, I'm going to be a millionaire. And I'm like, there's a lot of challenges. How do you beat that? And the world is beating challenges out of the world.
You got to search for challenges. You got to be like,
Yeah, but how
you got to get creative.
Yeah, but for the audience here, how do we motivate someone who's already like, you know, Joe, I'm tired of facing challenges. Because that's a real thing, man. That's like at some point as people sit down, you know what I mean? It's like Rocky. You just don't stand back up.
Yeah. Damn, that is an interesting concept to kind of think on, actually, because I can't relate with that.
It's hard, but you have to think a lot of people listening right now are like tired. And me and you get tired. I do. Like there's some days that like I'll be honest, I started writing my motivational book and I got a chapter there called the fuck you list. And it's got names of people on it. Like,
nice.
And there are moments where I lay in bed and I'm like, man, I'm tired. My back really hurts. My back's still broken. I've been coming out of that recovery still. I just really tired. I remember that book sits next to my bed with those names. I'm like, nope, I got to make sure that person eats some shit a little bit more today. And so I don't understand it. And I try to tell people, I'm like, look, if maybe you're actually negatively wired a little bit like Joe and I are, a little bit of the chip on the shoulder, a little bit of the self-hatred, a little bit of the things like that.
It can benefit you.
Yeah, maybe it can benefit you. Maybe you got it beaten out of you. Maybe you're really motivated that way. Like, what do you think? I've often wondered that about when people just sit down, like maybe someone just kind of said, don't be that way, or they got tired of being that. Like, I just always wonder. It's such a question to ask.
It is, because like, you know, I just try to find things that even like I dislike and force myself to love them. Does that make sense?
What's the last thing you did that you dislike, force yourself to love it?
Dude, I'll tell you what, like I was talking about, I recently had a conversation about this, like doing burpees. I'm almost at 40,000 burpees, dude. I'm 200 or 300 burpees before I even hit my lift. Every training session, I do my burpees
What's your heart rate
first.
going into your workout?
I have no idea. It's up there, but you know what? It's crazy. And like people are like, dude, why? People hate burpees. And I'm like, I know. I started doing them in last September. I've done 37,000 exactly since then. And I just, at first, it beat my ass. But I was like, I got to do my burpees. Now I'm like 200 or 300, and I'll push further than that sometimes. But I'm like, dude, that consistency forced me to fall in love with this process of it, because I knew like everybody else kind of hated it. And I was like, I love this thing now. And I think just tackling whatever you can consistently, you can learn how to like embrace the challenges. Does that make sense?
No, I agree 100%.
And this is because I don't know. I've only learned these things. Like I've really kind of fallen in love with just kind of this stuff over the past several years. You know, when I was younger, I wanted like to be easier. You know, I was like, man, I just want to like get a cush job and make millions of dollars.
I think that's everybody. I was 5 years old and used to piss my dad off. I wanted to be a trash man.
Yeah.
And I actually think I saw the genius in that when I was 5 years old. I hang on the back of a truck, listening to Walkman all day.
Catching a breeze.
Catching a breeze. Son, I actually think at 5, I was like really brilliant about it. You know?
Nobody's yelling at you because they want their trash taken out.
Exactly.
People are like, dude, I love this guy. And like my trash can doesn't smell like
shit. I
shit.
get a tan. I look cool. I'm maybe fine. But no, I agree with that. But, you know, at some point, and this is, I guess, let me ask you this, and this be something that audience, you're listening, comment, it helps the algorithm for a show out. But does it not just chap at your ass knowing that people might think that you might not do what you're going to say you're going to do, or they doubt you, or they don't believe, or it's like, there, that's sweet. You know, or things like, I don't understand how people don't get motivated by it. People are like, oh, I don't care what other people think and so forth. I'm like, yeah, but if they don't believe that you can actually do what you say you're going to do, a man or woman of your word, of action, of conviction, how do you sit well with that? Like, I don't swallow that really well. So again, that's how I don't understand how people sit down when it comes back to the challenge to go forward.
Like that shit puts it like everything. Like there's, man, I could count.
We're gonna be like labeled as two angry white dudes on this.
Probably. I could use that. I'll just tack that onto whatever they've already said on.
Yeah, me and you with the. We'll get those labels though. It's like beep.
Hey, used to it. You know.
Not fair.
But I don't know, man. It's because like that's the whole thing is. I mean, I listen to Andy Frisell talk about this. You know, just like using that chip as your shoulder using the chips on your shoulder as fuel. Like, dude, allowing the things that piss you off to like allowing these things to get to you. That way you do catapult to another level, right? Some people just like brush it off. And I'm like, I don't know how, I've even talked to my therapist about it. Like, how do I just get past it? And I'm kind of circling back to around and understanding where some anger things stem from. But still, I'm still going to like.
Where do the anger things stem from? I could give you mine. I'll give you my example. So I went through my counselor. My counselor says it stems from the fact that you deep down inside know that you destroyed your life on a hill by not listening to your mom and leaving the driveway with a skateboard, went down the hill, and you know it. Damn. And I was like, yeah, that's why I like my counselor. He's straight baller. He shoots you straight in the heart. And I was like, you know what? You're right. 100% of the anger, self-hatred. It fueled an entire bodybuilding journey. It fueled a bunch of shit that it should not have. And I actually think I'm a better man for it. And you know what? The whole process came to a head. I laid down my sword against myself. Yeah. And that's where the anger stems from. But I can still recall it when I want to and like bathe in it and then put it back when I want to. Yeah. What about you?
But for me, the anger stemming from, childhood and just a lot of bullying, man. I moved a lot. Right. I was a little short kid, chunky. I was trying to be, make friends in new places, and like people were fucking dicks, I got fucking basketballs thrown in my face, head slammed on the ground, against people that were like bigger than me. I got chased through neighborhoods, I got pushed down a hill, broke my arm. And, it was a collection of those kinds of events. And, but I never let it like make me bitter towards people. I've always treated people kind. Like that also taught me a lesson just to be good to other people.
Right.
But bully your friends to make them better in a way, right? Like, I think bullying is a good thing. Like, me and my boys bully each other, like, in a positive way to fucking push each other forward. But now, like, I'm capable. Like, no one's going to get over on me like that. No one's going to push me around or bully me. I'm just going to keep moving forward, and I can fight back in my own ways now. So, and I think that's that's a big part of what fuels me. Is just kind of like taking all that anger from those situations.
Right.
And now it's like, nah, dude, like none of y'all can have over on me now. Like I'm going to use it and conquer.
100%.
Conquer all, baby.
Well, that is your message. That's on brand.
Yeah, it is. So I think those situations are like good for us. So anybody out there is like dealt some shit like that, reflect on those times. If you're sitting there and you're not looking for challenges, like reflect on that shit. Get mad about it. Yeah,
I often wonder, as the rite of passage through life, kind of like just having to be put through some hardship, we just made it too easy that, we just shut down. A lot of the people just seem like they shut down anymore.
Well, you don't really have to, because now you don't have to get out there and do hard shit. Like you can stay in your conditioned home and play video games all day.
That's very true.
And then you're not going to run into bullies or like discomfort.
I don't disagree with that. So do you think if you're listening to this at this point, if you're reflecting and you're asking yourself, was I bullied? How did that affect me? I think it goes both ways for people. I think some people can break them down so far that they just can't come back.
Yeah.
And then some people like you and I will chip on the shoulder. I'd be curious as to those who didn't respond well to it, what the reasoning was. Because I'd always like to understand other people's sides, other people's perspective. Like, because for me it was, so I was 8. I just had my bone surgery, the skateboard accident, My mom drives us 17 and a half hours a week later. As soon as I got out of the hospital, literally, to Boston to see her family. Well, Peter, my granddad, in my book, chapter 3, it was my first bully. He was a World War II vet. Unfortunate man who had the Japanese side of the war, World War II. So they had left me for the day, and they had put me in his chair, and he came out, and he was drunk before he went in and all that, and he was still... And I just had this horrible interaction with him, but it was the first time I was like, oh my God, I was really defenseless,
Yeah.
And then later on, high school, I hit the kid who called me crippled too many times now because I eventually had too much shit.
Like,
it builds up.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time because there was eventually a point, I became backwards, broken. I remember that. But then it was when I broke my first step having to walk again after this bone structure surgery that I was like, well, I'm not going to not walk again.
Yeah.
Then I got pissed. I looked at my bone disease as bullying me. And so then it started just pushing me and fueling me to decisive action. So I'm always curious when people didn't in decisive action, like what changed? I always want to know.
It is interesting, man, because I go back to, taking those situations, right? And then I'm reflecting now on my accident, right? And being completely broken, near death, man, right there. And then that was kind of like...
I have a question. When you were almost going to die, did you like sit there and think about all the shitty things you had done? Or did you think about all the things that you hadn't done? Or where were you kind of at with your headspace at that moment?
I thought about the ones I love, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought about my family.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just like, that was all that crossed my mind, just like flashes of them. So,
And when you came out of it, did you find that, I feel the energy, I feel you getting choked up about it.
yeah.
Did you find that just made you go, okay, this is the line in the sand, never again. I got to go forward and really like they elevate you as far as like maybe towards like that high level of leadership, patriarch role in the family, like where you kind of grew up a little bit?
Yes, without a doubt, man. It definitely did, man. And I also had like a vision.
Oh yeah.
So I believe in what I do, and I held that very high. I think spirituality gives you a lot of purpose.
By the way, I read those books that you told me to from that author, Zachary Gillis.
Yeah.
Phenomenal books. I always tell everybody, I've read a lot of literature. I'd read The Immortality Key. I'd read all these different things. I think it's always good to know to challenge your spirituality.
Yeah.
It's like you should challenge, your mental side. We always sit here and challenge like our mindset, who can get the hardest habit schedule built? Me. And then, just kidding. Then but we don't challenge religion. We don't challenge politics.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, but these are the things that you should expound upon, especially religion, because it's so personal to you. Spirituality is such a damn journey.
Look at how many wars and people died for religion just alone.
It's since the dawn of time, since we can really communicate the idea of God. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a crazy thing. And I appreciate you reading that and taking the time, because it sheds light on a lot of things, and it will make you question. It will question if maybe you do believe in something else. It will question test that foundation a little bit.
The one thing I appreciate, though, as being an author and a writer myself, is he said, hey, I ain't trying to persuade nobody, no way. In fact, I ain't trying to take away from anybody. I'm just trying to say that everybody has a right to be able to believe and think. And this is just some stuff from the past. These are the ways it comes out. And I was like, damn, man, really, really good way to write a controversial book. You know what I mean?
It is very controversial. I think some people read it, they probably get offended. But like people get really, with something so personal, they will get probably offended. They get offended about something that they never really tested.
I think it's a good thing. Like
you got to test your convictions. How strong is your conviction if it's sitting on stilts?
100%. I mean, people get, upset all the time if you push them on anything that makes them uncomfortable. And I'm like, maybe dig a little bit deeper. Why are you uncomfortable by that? Like, why does that really bother you?
Yeah. If something makes me uncomfortable, I want to look into it more, because I want to understand the root of that. Like, why does it make me uncomfortable? And then I can start having my own opinions, like actual opinions, because your opinion isn't valid if you don't know both sides.
Well, you can't talk about God. You can't talk about guns. You can't talk about money, and you can't talk about politics. This is like how you were raised, right?
Yeah.
Like at least me at 43. Don't talk those four things. Now you have a whole society that can't talk about shit.
Yeah.
And I almost think it might have been done by design to a degree.
Yeah.
Like installed in there and just like, hey, you know what? Just don't talk about these things for generations. That way when it came down, it's just silence. Now with social media, nobody knows how to behave on it.
I know. They're losing their shit.
When it comes to God, any of these four topics, it's out of control.
And it's all stuff I talk about pretty often. I don't really talk about politics. I just don't like politics. And I just tell people that all the time. I don't get political because I just like, hey, man, make the economy good and let me and don't fucking bother me. I'm happy.
I'll be honest with you. I actually tend to talk politics more than a lot of things. And that is strictly just because, like, I see it as a small business owner. I'm like, you all couldn't run a business the way you all run the government. Like, it would not work at all. And you all should have to play by the same rules that I have to play by. And they pick and choose these things to grandstand on that really bother me. Case point, here in Nashville, we had a city councilman. He's out of my district in Hermitage, where my business is, okay? And he gets his moment of fame to get on there and grandstand about Morgan Wallen. So if you're a Morgan Wallen fan, awesome. I've never heard a single one of his songs, but I hear he's great, so I'm cool. Okay, but I heard he threw a chair over a thing and it created this big ordeal. So they're like grandstanding, right?
I heard about that,
Yeah, the councilman's like grandstand and stuff. Meanwhile, in Hermitage, he has a homeless camp that he had to like quote unquote disband after months of it almost burning to the ground and burning people's houses. At which point they just moved it across the street. So I was about to like tag Morgan.
Relocate.
I was about to tag Morgan in a post on social media like, Morgan, I've never heard of your music, don't know you or anything. But if you want a good photo op to embarrass the city councilman, just go to the homeless camp. And I was going to put a picture with the pin dot of where it's at and be like, just bring your crew and everybody and give out water and help clean it up and they'll love you. But it just goes back to, it's like, what I'm getting at is like, I take service to my fellow man and woman very, very seriously.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to do that, go serve me. Yeah. Don't use that as an opportunity to get your, like, 2 seconds on Fox, CNN, wherever.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, your community sucks, is trash. I have a picture on my phone with a guy walking down the street with a machete at the Central Pike and Old Hickory Boulevard at 5 o'clock on like a Monday night. Because like the whole, yeah, I know.
He's just chopping down some bamboo.
Yeah, exactly, right? And, you know, it speaks to the mental health crisis really going on in the country, the drug problem, all these things you could go down. But where I go in the issue of politics, and I know I want to jump off this so we don't get you canceled. I mean, my boy John Cooper, former Mayor John Cooper right here kept me inspired all of 2020. He shut my gym, asshole.
Thanks,
But
John.
anyway, yeah, thanks, John. You motivated me more than you know. Mwah, buddy. He's Democrat. He'll let me kiss him.
Wait, what?
So anyway. Oh, man.
Oh, God, that's good.
But no, I want people to serve, man. I want good men, good women to just be like, hey, I'm over this shit.
Legitimate people.
Yeah, I don't care what you did with them last 2 to 3 years of your life, because you and I both know as men, and being friends with men, women out there, and other people, of whoever you identify as, you get better. You're trying to grow, and you're not the same person you were even 30 days ago.
Yeah.
That's the evolution.
Well, that's the whole thing. And I do want to touch a little bit on the politics, since we haven't, you know, and I'm not going to get too crazy, like, go vote for so-and-so, this all rigged, you know, like, I'm not doing all that. But I do want to hear what you have to say. I wanted to say something about the fire, like that vision real quick, though.
Yeah.
You know, because we were on that. You know, so when I closed my eyes, and right before I woke up in the hospital, I was at, a month prior to that, I was at this huge ritual, you know, and in this vision, I was at that fire alone, but it was just like the embers, and I was just watching it, and it just said, whoop, and I fucking woke up in the hospital.
That's wild.
And it was, so I call it, you know, it's referred to as an Odinic vision, but it was like, that was like, oh my God, that's the God. This is like a test from the gods. This is like, oh, you want to follow the road, you want to follow this righteous journey, well, here's your test, you know. And I was like, okay. And then something that I connected with too after that too is like, I stand for something pretty strong, you know, that's also going to test me, as I've seen. You know, my beliefs are also going to have its own tests that come just because I believe in it.
Yeah.
And I said, but it's a lot of it is about strength and staying on the righteous path, and like choosing a harder way in order to become better, and a harder belief in order to become better. And that was also something that played a factor too. You know what I'm saying? Is like that, what propelled me forward, you know? Right. So I told you, I thought about my family, and then there was that vision. And then everything after was just like, just this spiritual thing too. It's because this is also a big time spiritual pursuit. The Relentless pursuit is, because I look at it doing stuff that make an impact, and like, you know, doing the Key Lime Festival just to help the community and making an impact through the podcast, giving somebody out there a story that's going to help them be better tomorrow, or like keep from killing themselves or something. Because, you know, we've had those kinds of topics on here. Dude, that's what it's all about. Like, that's all spiritual to me. Like, that's eternal work. That's holy work in my heart. And I know that. So that's why I'm so driven to keep moving forward no matter what, you know?
And that's why I love you as a friend, man. That's because you have that fire in you. You can feel it when you're next to you. I know you give off the energy. I can tell when he's about to cry.
Yeah.
I can tell when he's about to just rip the table off underneath. So yeah, no, it's good. I appreciate you sharing that vision. They say a lot of that, like people when they die, they have like these visions. They're very near and dear to them. So the Odinic vision you had, obviously, that's a spiritual journey you took. You're brave enough to go down it. Who knows what you might have inferred that to be had you not gone down your journey that you did.
Yeah. Right? I just knew what I needed to do.
100%.
You know, so. But anyways, I wanted to share that with you, because
I appreciate
that's just like a pivotal kind of thing.
People could probably listen to us and know that we're good friends, so we can actually go lots of places in conversations. Bing, 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 bing.
I know. We skipped over that and went to politics.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. No, the politics, what everybody knows. I am actually deathly libertarian. I don't give a shit what most people do. I just think that government can't run efficiently at this point. I'm like, someone needs to fix that. I don't know who it is, but...
You know, I like the Bobby guy. I like Bobby Kennedy.
So Robert Kennedy, man, is an interesting one to me. I want to like him, and then sometimes he'll say something just stupid, and I'll just be like, please. And that's where I'm like, oh, I think we live in a matrix sometimes. I'm like, what? Like, it's a perfect run. Like, why would, like, it's almost like the computer goes, bam, just wanted to say that, bam.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you saying that?
Well, the reason I like him is because he's just different than everything we voted for.
100%.
And and obviously what's been going on isn't working. Well, the back and forth between 1 and 2. So I think, like, hey, he's a wrench in it all. And at the end of the day, dude, he's got balls for, like, running, considering, like, the family history.
Yeah. Well,
you know? And I'm like, oh, dude's got some balls. I like that.
I actually like Robert King. Yeah. Actually, I don't have a problem with majority of the candidates. I'm just judging the current one in office on based upon what I've seen the last 4 years. And I'm here to tell people I could crush people's hearts, but based upon how commercial real estate's going right now, mathematically, they're saying that everything should 4x. So that means I guess our product should too.
No.
But when I look at it from an angle, this is how I see it. I think every person under 55 has a hard gut check question to ask themselves.
Yeah.
Are we going to be pussy enough not to keep running and let these old fucks keep controlling this country?
Yeah.
It is watching grandpas and grandmas over 75 years of age, from Pelosi to Biden to Trump, you name whatever damn last word you want to throw out there.
Age cap.
Yeah. Come on. We are letting old people that when you go see them at nursing home, you'd be like, oh, they're there. Tell us what's good. Guess what? Get out. You've already had your shot. The country is in the, no offense, it's where it is. I think career politicians have shown us that it shouldn't be a career.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing. And we need to either change this country or that, or accept surrender and be okay with the fact that bad things could eventually come. And I'm okay with that if we all go that way.
And even, there's that argument that, like, some people are probably going to get butthurt by this, but, you talk about career politicians and there's a certain candidate. They're like, well, he's a career businessman. When you're making billions of dollars, there's a lot of politics there. So what's the difference?
100%. But, I actually, you brought me on to have a weird, talk weird. One of his favorite books, because you can't say the name or we definitely get this canceled. But if you're thinking of the M space A space G space A guy over there, right?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said if you go look at his article, read any of his interviews back there, I think one of his books, I read a lot. He talks about the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
No, that one.
It's one of the best books you'll ever read. If you've ever read the Bible, you should read this book because it's very much a counter book to it.
It's good, but it's also can be used in a negative
That's
light.
why it's not allowed in prisons, right?
Yeah.
But there's a law in there, and it's called Law 15, Crush Your Enemies Completely. And in the 2016 campaign, he ran something known as we're going to lock them up, drain the swamp, da-da-da-da. He talked a lot of shit. And you know what? After 2020, when all that shit went down, they have looked for ways to be able to get him. They finally did. And that is a lesson to everybody who's paying attention. The 48 Laws of Power is real. Law 15, if you're going to make an enemy, you better be willing to crush them completely. Because even if you leave a smoldering ember, they can return. And Napoleon is proof of that. If you go read all about his story, which he's, utilized as a lot of example in that book.
Yeah.
Especially Machiavelli the Prince is utilized a lot in that book too.
I've read that book once. I need to do a refresh.
Dude, I read it for like 3 months straight over and over and over, just for like my 30-minute gap, just because, when you get into business, you have to learn to put yourself in other people's shoes when you go into negotiations, stuff like that, knowing people are never thinking about the good of you, only for themselves. So it's good to understand like where you're at. And I tell everybody, sure, is it dark? Does he make you uncomfortable? Well, guess what?
Sure.
There are really those people out there, and you got to really be prepared. And that was what Robert Greene talked about with writing those books. 50th Law is cool because it's all about 50 Cent.
It's all about what?
It's all about 50 Cent, his journey. The 50th
really?
Law.
Yeah.
It's so cool. one of my better books I've read. So I'd recommend anything from Robert Greene. He's like Jordan Peterson to me. You're going to read any chapter and come away better.
I love Jordan Peterson too.
Yeah, his stuff's good. I've seen him twice in person present.
Really?
And it's brilliant to see a guy just take a topic and just pace back and forth and expound upon it. He's very Nietzsche's to me.
Yeah.
Because Nietzsche's used to walk a lot.
Yes,
Rant against God, or he railed against the heavens.
Oh, yeah. His stuff was very, I guess some would say nihilistic. But there's a lot of wisdom there, man. Very intelligent, man.
He was very stoic for that kind of age frame.
Yeah, I've read a lot of his stuff too. Yeah, I find it very interesting. But I actually got a bunch of those at home up in my room.
This stuff is good.
Yeah, it's solid as hell. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The thing is, politics just gives me a headache to pay attention to as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, it's
it
not
does.
working. It's just like there's so much back and forth on it.
Oh, dude, it's because it's always hot bucket issues. So, like, I decided if I ever did anything, I would run for, like, I love my state of Tennessee. I could really love to be a governor one day, maybe. Who knows, wherever it goes, right?
Yeah.
I'm just talking shit. But I look at it more, man. What could you, it's always hot topic issues. It's always abortion, gay rights, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
If I ran, I'd be like, hey, I will leave the job. You guys can come hang me, kill me, whatever you want. But for my entire term, I'm not going to worry about these hot topic issues because for 40 years, our country's gotten nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to worry about these issues over here, like the potholes in the state of Tennessee and how to fix all those potholes, how to get the education system fixed up where the teachers aren't leaving for every other state.
People are like, yeah.
You know, and this is my whole thing. It is our whole lottery system here in Tennessee is stupid.
Yeah.
We give the money for kids to go to college. How about we give that money for the high schools and the middle schools and the elementary and like show some respect to blue collar.
The shit's at slacking.
Yeah, not every kid wants to go go to college. Both of my kids do not.
Yeah.
I don't think any of my 3 kids actually do. My current 2 live with me. They're like, nope, they want to do one. My daughter wants to become an airplane mechanic. Son wants to be an automotive mechanic or music producer. So it's like they don't want to go to college.
Yeah.
Let's fix the schools. Let's get them the computers, especially the inner city kids. You could use that money to be able to keep them out of trouble so they're not gang recruit material, especially the 8-year-old boys to 15, 16, you know, that high target. There's just so much we could do with money. Go to these corporations. I don't know. I think outside the box. I think the states are ready.
You got my vote.
That way. But no, I mean, I appreciate that. But I think that's the biggest issue we have to say as society is like, hey, these hot topics we can't figure out for a little bit. I want to put a pause on them. Well, I'm going to, during my term, focus on this stuff. I want people who want to do that.
Well, because the hot topic stuff is like so, it's so back and forth to where people are so passionately invested into these hot topics that that's all they're going to pay attention to. You know, there's never any middle ground. It's like, okay, if you support abortion, then you hate life. If you're against abortion, then you hate people. You don't care what anybody does with their body. It's like, no, like there's never even a middle ground. Like, hey, maybe this person can be against it, but they're also like, it's not my choice whether what somebody else decides to do. You know, that's not on me. Like there's never a middle ground. It's just like one way or the other. So they pick the things that people are going to be this or that on. And then social psychology teaches you that a lot of times people just they're voting for the candidate. They're not even thinking about the policies. They get so emotionally and personally invested into the individual that they're totally not paying attention to the other shit.
Yeah, you're seeing that with the polling because the current 2 people that are running at the top that get the most attention recently had trials on both sides involving different people, and it didn't even sway any of the poll numbers. People are 100% with that. Have you enjoyed doing those classes? Like, has it helped you with like where you want to take your brand in the future with the social psychology stuff and all that? Like, do you kind of like go around like, oh, now it's easier to cope?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because, you know, what's cool is going back to school in the psychology field at 33 years old. 34. Shit, I'm 34 now.
I'll be 44 soon.
Start losing numbers. But it all starts to bleed together.
Age, like, I'm just old.
Yeah, and what's interesting about it is, though, like I find like a way deeper understanding because like just going through social psych and learning about groups and this and that and the other, I'm able to be like, oh, dude, I understand this just from experience, right? Like, you know, you got kids in there. I'm 15 years older than them or whatever. Like I got a lot more life experience in those 15 years. You know, like since I was 20 years old or so, things have changed drastically. Like the experience has been through the roof. So I can like really connect and understand them on a different level. That's just how it is. Yeah. So, and it forces you to analyze the world a lot differently too. Cause you're like taking that, you got the experience, then you're going and learning about the things and you have a deeper understanding and then you're applying it to the rest of the things you see. And you're like, wow,
yeah,
very eye opening. Yeah. So I love it. It's very interesting.
Well, I'll just hire you as my campaign manager. I'll just be like, Joe, what do I need to do?
Yeah. And I'll be getting all psychological. I'll be like, oh.
One of my buddies was funny. I was like, I think I want to start for city council. And he was laughing because Nashville's all blue. And it's fine. I don't care. Like, I'm one of those people, like, red and blue don't give a fuck about you. So it doesn't matter to me. But he's like, you know, you're going to have to run as Democrat. I was like, sure, I'll do it. He's like, just start doing what you want to do when you get in. Just be like, no, that's what Democrats do. I was like, I'll just say that's what Jeff wants to do. And he started laughing. But no, I guess, you know, to kind of poke fun at the whole thing. I think that's where it's kind of got to me. Like, why are we so wrapped up in the ideas? Like, I'm red, I'm blue. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I personally believe in socialized healthcare because I have a brittle bone disease and thought it was screwed up that I had to pay a higher premium for something I couldn't control. So a lot of people who suffer from that. Obama did some great stuff. And then I sit on the other side. I'm like, well, I do believe in small government. I want a flat tax. I think corporations should be taxed. I'm also sitting in the minority of people who believe that the churches should be taxed. I think that there should be a tax
100%
on all that. Everyone who's taxed, everyone pays 10%. We'd have a country that'd be so beautiful. It would be so great. And so many people would flourish and thrive even more. I mean, I believe that you can have two opposing beliefs and be okay and find what fits you in the middle. And I don't understand why it's so that way, but we could get drowned on this topic forever.
Yeah, we could. And well, that's the thing too, man, is one thing I love about doing this podcast, right? And I was talking to you about this earlier, is having individuals that society would say, there's no way y'all could be friends.
Yeah.
You know? Like my client and I were talking about, just how different we are in such extreme ways. But like, I freaking love training that person. And we love having conversation.
CNN would lose their minds if they saw you training that gentleman.
And it's like, dude, I don't care what he likes or does or whatever. Like, I mean, there's certain things, you know, like talked about on the last podcast that just dropped, you know, don't mess with kids and shit like that. Like, obviously there's certain standpoints, moral standpoints that you don't mess with. But like,
I love the fact that Tennessee is going to potentially bring out the death penalty for molestation under the age of 13.
Good.
100%.
Hell yeah.
I'm all for that one.
All right. Yeah, me too. That's got my who's ever.
The first Wood Shepherd put it on pay-per-view, $29.95. Let it roll from like midnight to 1 on Saturday night.
Can I just go vote for that one thing? Yeah. But
that legalized marijuana.
Yeah.
In Tennessee too.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that would blow people's minds. But I think it's going to be good to have them on here. And, you know, I talked about trying to get that pastor on here, you know, the religious differences and them being a pastor and me believing in what I do, but also finding like, hey, look at all the places we connect in though. Like, people just don't understand. All you got to do is sit down and have a conversation with somebody and not take who they are personal. Like if I can sit here and you talk about something, you don't view this certain way, and people will literally take that personal.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, you can still be firm in your convictions. Like, it's like I told my client, I was like, you're you. Your experiences are yours, and they've led you to that. Me, I'm very firm in my convictions and what I stand for. I can still be firm in those ways and not have an issue with you, because that's for me. Like my little family, like we got our little unit, right? So I can be fully convicted and firm in what I believe in and stand for. Doesn't mean you have to be.
Yeah.
Just like you shouldn't expect me to have to believe in what you do and stand for what you do. And guess what? We can get fucking along and we can be friends.
I agree.
Isn't that crazy?
I agree.
But that's such a hard thing for people to wrap their mind around.
Yeah, one of my closest friends, JR, we've been friends since 2013. And he is die-hard liberal, loves it, and knows how I am, and, you know, libertarian, and still loves me. And, you know, I help him raise money for some of his causes he did with Pride a few years ago and things like that. Yeah. And people would die if they knew he gets on a boat with 8 of us who think completely different, are all straight, and he's gay and married, you know, and all that. And people just lose it. I'm like, man, you can get along with so many people out here. You know, it's like tribes. Like, why nobody tries to find their tribe? It's like, okay, maybe it's not you, but maybe it's over here. Yeah. And it's like, there always has to be this, well, if you're not with me, then fuck you, you're against me. And I'm like, well, that's cool, like, in certain conditions of your life. Yeah. But there's always have to be about everything, because maybe in 5 years you come back around. Like, me and you've passed back and forth through the worlds of fitness in Nashville for years, and both you and I would probably have never, we've been cool with each other, but we would never have mingled. Yeah. Until this point in our life. But we didn't shut our ideas off to it. I was never like, fuck that Joe Adams. I don't give a shit who he associates with, blah, 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 blah. And then it was like, you didn't say that about me either. No. You know? And then later on, we kind of get a chance to meet. It's like, oh, yeah, cool. Yep. I'm glad I kept my mind open to that. Exactly. At the time, it wasn't my tribe. I wasn't going that way, just like you weren't going my way. Exactly. But we were still going kind of the same way.
Yeah, congruent.
You know? Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. We kept our minds open to the people that we were.
Yeah, man.
Shut it down. There are very rarely people I shut my mind down to.
Yeah, dude, that's like I've been in worlds, like in the motorcycle world. It's like, you know, you got certain colors and states and whatever, and it's just like, yeah, fuck those guys, they're that. And I'm like, dude, honestly, like, you know, since then, I'm like, if I met those guys not knowing that, I'd probably get along with them just fine.
Is that crazy? Yeah.
I wouldn't hate them. Like, I'd be like, dude, you're fucking dope. You know, but it's just like, we literally create those boundaries just by associating with whoever we associate. Like, it's like, I'm this, they're that. Let's draw a line now, but without even ever having a conversation with the person.
You see it a lot, like the fitness industry, you know, like what we do. People be like, oh, fuck that coach, fuck this jab, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Man, I don't even think those people give a shit.
Dude,
You know, like, I don't think they even think about it. Like, people be like, someone came up to me, I was like, I heard you said so-and-so about so-and-so. And I'm like, bro, I'd say it publicly. I don't care. And I go, I assure you that, no, that never was across my mind. Like, the stories people tell themselves and hype themselves up about, they're convinced is really going on.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like, nah, man, it ain't like that, like, in the world.
In the fitness industry, like I found to be like the whole industry itself is actually pretty divided.
You want to know what's interesting? Robo said, you know Robo.
Yeah.
Super good dude. He sells businesses for a living. He's been in corporate America, stock market, the whole, everything, right? So he's seen it all. He's like, your industry and the fitness industry is one of the most unprofessional industries I've ever witnessed.
100%.
I agree. Like, I've never, like, you don't get out, like, you don't see Elon Musk out there trashing Peter Thiel. They were together at PayPal. You don't see any of that. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, no other industries do it. I don't see car dealerships tearing up other car. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know, but not like it is in the fitness industry, the call out industry, I guess what we could say.
Because I think, thinking on that, I think a lot of people in the fitness industry build their brand off of them. Like they make it personal, right? Like I'm personal about RP. It's like, it's built off of a near-death experience. I'm not going to, I don't know. My heart wasn't like, dude, you almost died. Go start a car dealership, like it's putting me out there.
Yeah.
But like, so people are like, screw you. But guess what? You can still like start something off of you and not have like the butt heads with people. But people don't understand competition, right? Like they'd much rather than supporting somebody and like outworking them or whatever, or just doing better and letting that fire them up. Like people are like, don't pay attention to what other people are doing. No, pay attention. Why are they succeeding more than you? Okay, what can you do that's different than that or better than that? But instead it's like, no, I'm going to trash them because like I'm going to create a bunch of controversy.
Oh, dude, you just popped it in my head. There's a podcast episode with Ed Milet and Andy Frisell where they were talking about the rooms. In the rooms of 0 through 5, the first 5 years you're in business, you talk shit about each other and da-da-da. Then you get to 5 to 10 and there aren't many of you around anymore. And you're kind of like, all right, well, I'll be cool with you because, it's hard. So I'm just going to kind of, and then by year 10, you're like, all right, man, hey, what's up? And then by year 20, you're like really helping people along. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in my 19th year and I'm trying to do it. But I'll tell you something that he was right about. He also says you're also keenly aware of who to not let in the room.
Yeah.
And that is something I pay more attention to now than I did
Interesting.
a few years ago. Like there are people
Like how so?
Well, in a way, like there'll be people who be like, hey, I want to like hang out with you guys in your circle. I'm like, well, why? Like, why would we want to invest in you? I know it sounds harsh for people listening, but it's like, if you want to be my brother, you want to be my friend, like, what do you bring to the table that I don't already have?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to level me up? Because that's where I'm at. I want to be leveled up. I want people who are leveling me up.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I'm kind of getting a dose of that, with my brothers in the Hurry, right? Like we're also like vet people pretty hard about who comes around just because people may not.
Energy.
Yeah. Energy. Like it's a spiritual brotherhood, right? And because it is that, we don't want anything that like messes with the weird, and the weird is essentially how we're all tied together.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, I know that like, so this is how we look at it. If like I'm doing shitty stuff in my life,
it's going to spill over into others.
They're being affected by that spiritually already.
Yep. So
that's why we all have to hold each other to a standard. Right. And I think, so it's kind of cool learning those lessons and being able to apply it into my professional life moving forward. Right. It's already something maybe I'm getting a head start on.
No,
but
I read this in a business book. I can't remember the quote, the percentage, so shoot me, audience, I'm wrong. But it's like 18 to 20%, 23% of a business employees are trying to dismantle actively the business at all times.
It's like Rome.
Yeah. So, but that's like what you could potentially let into your brotherhood, your sisterhood, your covenant that you have with your whatever the hell you got.
Yeah.
You could let that's always at risk to get in. And I pay more attention to that now.
Yeah.
I pay more attention to like how I'm real. How do people rule themselves? You're the best dictator. Yeah. What are you going to do when you get a little bit of power? How do you rule yourself? Do you rule yourself justly or unjustly? And I pay more attention to that now. When you get there, you're starting to see that now. You're starting to see your friends really are, Joe. They probably dwindled out a lot. They probably repopulated and then they unpopulated and now they're repopulating. And you're like, every time it's getting better because you're forcing yourself to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a fact, man. I mean, we've even talked about it in my crew, like we've had some guys dwindle away.
Yep.
And we'll make jokes and be like, oh, that's the JV team, like.
Well, it's true though. Like that is true. Like not everybody wants to keep stepping up. It goes back to the whole conversation earlier. You either sit down and you stand back up.
Yep, exactly, man. So it's interesting to pay attention to these a lot of things because like I've seen that within my crew. People come in and out. It's just part of it, and it breaks your heart because you take an oath together, and you're like, we take that seriously, and you turn your back on that. But that's
I don't understand why people turn their back on oaths that they make. Like that's got to be a hard fracturing. And I think it's almost like, diet where you get a case of the fuck it's. You're just like, I blew up my diet. I'm going to start it Monday. You break your promise, you break your word, you break your oath. I talk about in my book, one of the most damning things you can do over and over is breaking promises to yourself.
But it's the thing is so common. Like
it is. Everybody, it's a disease.
A marriage is an oath. This is why I didn't get married.
I'm a 2-time failure about that before I got married 3rd time. Now I'm trying my damnedest. Like, and I feel ashamed to say that.
Yeah.
But that's the journey of like reflection of getting older and looking back and be like, I was nowhere near equipped to be in those situations.
Yeah.
And should never done. Now I'm actually like equipped, but that took a lot of growth for me to get there.
Exactly, man. And that's the whole thing. You can't like look back on those things and be like, damn, I'm a piece of shit. Like, no, dude, like I recognize where I failed and I can be not that for this person or this group of people moving forward, right? And I can like stay firm and honor that oath. The
one good thing about training as many people as I have from all walks of life is there's one thing I've learned. Deathbed is full of regrets. And I want to try to avoid that.
Yeah, dude. And what's crazy is I think about that a lot.
It really is because everybody you never hear you never hear people when they like these like on TikTok like lately I've seen like cancer videos like people dying of cancer and I'm like, God, this is sad as fuck. But they're all like listening. A lot of them were like listening to regrets, things they wish they had done, and I'm like, damn, man, it really puts it in perspective. And every older person I've trained like north of 55, when I'm always like, man, what do you wish you'd done in your life? They always give me like a list of things. The guy or girl they should have asked out, the husband or wife they should have tried harder for, the business idea they should have worked maybe 2 hours extra a week on.
That just gives me a pit in my stomach.
Stuff like, but that's what they tell you. And they can like finite it down. Like there was a guy that I trained for a while and he was a railroad worker, supervisor. And his wife asked him to retire. And I said, what was the one thing that you have regret most about? He goes, that I had to retire and let all those men down on the line.
Yeah.
But yet he was 68 years old, and that was his one regret.
Isn't that crazy?
But then I asked him about others, and he said no. He goes, I learned to get rid of those regrets, and now I have the regrets of what I couldn't do for the other men. But then you hear another person, they're like, I have this regret that I was a really good writer, and I let one person read my book, and they told me how awful it was, and I just never wrote again.
Dude.
And he's just like, damn,
it's crazy.
What could have been.
And I think about that, man. Like, it's been hard building my business, dude. I've been in this building 2 years in August. Man, it hasn't fucking got easier. Yeah, like there's growth happening and I'm aware of where all those areas, but it's still fucking hard, but I'd love it, right? We talked about that. But say, and I don't want to harp on the cancel thing because it's been a big subject, but like say when I got canceled, like a lot of people would like stop their businesses right then. And I could have, but
not you. You had more people to piss off, Joe.
Yeah, I was
keep
like,
going.
Oh, hell yeah, Instagram, I'm taking you down. But no, it's like I look at those things, and you reflect on conversations you have or whatever, and people are like, oh yeah, or you get to where it's just you're grinding for day after day, and people are like, hey, maybe you should take it easy, take a step back. You tried, but it's like, dude, yeah, say I shut down. I was like, you know what, I can't do it, and then. Who knows? Maybe the next day someone was going to come in and be like, Joe, like, I love what you're doing. I want to give you $100,000 to fund your podcast, like sponsor your podcast. Or you got a DM the next day after you fucking got rid of everything and you got like the most famous guest in the world wanting to come on and share their story, right? That would have taken you to a whole nother level. Like, fuck that, dude. I'll go down in flames because I'm not going to go year after year after year thinking about, well, what about the next day? What could have fucking shifted? Because you are one conversation, one moment, one podcast recording away, whatever it is, from everything changing just like that. I will never have to, I'm not going to live with those fucking, I go down in flames and be like, you know what? I fucking went down in flames, baby. I went out gloriously, like straight up kamikaze shit. But
100%. Why, I put it at the end of my book. I know you've been reading through it. Why do we try to arrive safely at death? Shouldn't you want to get there all used up? Do you know what I mean? Like everybody's like, oh my God, that person died. So like I told my wife the other day, we were talking, I said, it doesn't matter if you're man or woman and you don't get to 80, you died young now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody's looking at how these people between the ages of 60 and 80 are dying.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are dying like very desperate, quiet lives. You can tell. And I'm often like, in the case of, let's use like some of the bodybuilders who die in the 50s, some of these pro athletes, so forth. I'm like, but what they did in that small window, I couldn't even comprehend that myself.
Yeah.
Like what Steve Jobs did for 50 something years of his life as a business owner, like put yourself in his shoes. Like
He's talked a lot about in Obstacles the Way too.
Yeah.
That
Ryan
book.
Holiday.
Yeah.
That's a great book.
Yeah.
All this stuff is good.
There's some good stuff in there about Steve Jobs. You know, I talk about that, man. Like, dude, when people are telling you like, oh, this can't be done, this is like, you sure that's realistic? He didn't believe in that.
No, he would just throw temper tantrums and be like, no, get back.
You know what? You're fucking fired. You said we can't. I'm hiring this guy. Can you? Yes. Okay, get it done. And it's done.
Yeah,
Made it happen.
But that's what takes the visionary. You know what's so funny is they've interviewed people worked with him and they're like, oh, he was a tyrant, work, all this stuff. But everybody thinks of him very fondly for how he single-handedly changed communication to a degree, I would argue.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just nothing as awesome as a MacBook. My whole companies are MacBooks,
love mine.
iPads. It's just, it works.
Yeah. I think the only reason people are against MacBooks is just to be cool. They're like, oh, screw it. I'm like, no, Mac's good
No, be
shit.
cool. Be like against the government. That's like way cooler.
Yeah,
no,
we stand for that.
We stand for that one. Like,
God.
no, don't say that. No, sorry. Just kidding.
No.
No, my bad. I have a question for you. So you're trying to grow this podcast, and the listeners who are out there, audience on it, who are sponsors that you're looking for, that you're ideal for to really help grow this, to take this next level? Because, you know, we rely, I do a podcast too, and I do mine in a different realm than you do.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you're looking for to partner with that if the audience is listening, they could really like be like, hey, go talk to Joe. Your brand's fit. Joe could get you there.
You know, I've been analyzing that, right? Because I am a fitness guy.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, I started off in that realm. And so preferably, like, that's a huge thing to me, right? Like energy drinks from First Form and stuff like that, Ghost, whatever, you know, you got these different brands that like I support, and I like what they do, and I think it'd be a good attachment, right? And so definitely like the fitness realm, but at the end of the day, like analyzing the podcast, like honestly, there's only a handful of fitness people on this podcast.
Yeah, no, that was the one thing that's funny because I don't have as many fitness people on mine. I do fitness. We have more coaches. Stuff
It's
like
a
that.
lifestyle. So
it's different to have really weird, random conversations. So I was curious.
Yeah. So like, honestly, think about lifestyle. It just applies to everything. So, there's a lot of opportunity out there as far as the sponsorship realm goes. Anybody trying to grow their brand or gain exposure and putting themselves out there, like I'm pretty open to almost all of it, you know, unless it's like Pornhub. Like I don't support that, you know.
Well, no, we did a whole episode about porn. You said it's just cucking, and I was like, I can't unhear it now. I've told all my male friends that I was like, you're just a cuck if you watch porn.
You're like, oh my God.
Joe's got it where I like my internet history is so clean now.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, all right, well, fine, Joe. I won't be a cuck.
You hear my voice? We'll have to like make a clip of just, if you watch porn, you're a cuck, and then we'll just put that out everywhere.
Well, no, I asked this because, with small business, you're always trying to identify, and the ones who are going to help you are going to be the people who listen to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who are going to share your message, share what you're really trying to do out there.
Yeah.
That's part of where, if you're listening, help the man out.
Yeah.
Tag, show love, whatever you could do, man.
Yeah. What honestly would be preferable? Like I said, I'm open to a lot, but I want to create an impact, and the impact is the priority through this brand. The impact is the most important priority, impact humanity, make people better, bring people together. That's where my heart's at. And, so most importantly, I think businesses that want to create an impact as well and are doing so, like I want to put them out there because we're just working together to do the same thing.
100%, man.
So yeah, if y'all are out there,
what's the email for them to get a hold of you at?
Relentless Pursuit Lifestyle @gmail.com.
Cool. Show them some love.
Hey, dude, thank you.
No, you're welcome. How do you want to bring this to a close?
Hey, this question evolves. It's my question.
Okay, I want to give it
in business and in life.
All right.
What is your relentless pursuit, Jeff?
At this point, making sure that I level up to the person that I actually see coming from the fire, from the ashes through the fire to this next chapter I need to be.
Yeah.
Sounds real like poetic, but there's no other better way to say it. Like when you talk about like the fire and you talk about stuff, that's just kind of what I resonate with. Like just kind of like just be willing to walk hot. You know what I mean? Just kind of like knowing that it's not over.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I love working. I view life as a relentless pursuit.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with my daughter. She was driving me around, teaching her how to drive. It's been neat because I wasn't able to have parts of my oldest son's life like this. So I've been able to have that with my stepdaughter. So I take her out driving, and she made a comment because she's very bright. We were talking about Japanese culture and anime and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she was shocked I'm big. I used to watch anime and all that.
Dragon Ball Z.
Hey, Vampire Hunter D, the original Akira, and Ghost in the Shell, the originals will never ever go wrong. But we were talking about the Japanese culture and like how they go into the woods and kill themselves. And she kind of made this comment about, yeah, life's just kind of dark, isn't it? I said, well, yeah, honey, and that's kind of part of it. And when you can kind of understand that, that's where it's on you to kind of go make your light, like you said earlier. Like, and we had that on. I was having this with a 16-year-old girl. And I said, you're gonna have a lot of friends who will tell you that, oh, it sucks, this sucks, this sucks. You're always gonna have more negative. 80% of that's that negative. You got to take that 20% positive and make it 280% positive. So much that it just keeps driving you.
And that's to add on to that. I've over the past year or so, I've been like pretty stressed out, spread thin, all the stuff. It can get to you, and I've just like been like, dude, I'm so stressed, and I keep going forward because I know that's what I do. It's what I got to do. But like, it's been more of like a heavy thing. Yeah. But lately what's been cool is like looking at it as like, I fucking like, no, it's a great thing. Like, I love that pressure. I love that stress. I've learned how to kind of embrace it differently and like be excited for it. I let it excite me now, and I think it just kind of just like one little decision to make instead of looking at it as like a burden, not necessarily a burden, but you get what I'm saying, like a weight, looking at it more as like something that's carrying me, man. It's like giving me wings, you know what I'm saying? I'm just flying into it, man, rather than just like, I'm just soaring through 100 miles an hour,
Yeah, I have a funny story for you before we wrap up. A few weeks ago, actually about 5 weeks ago, I was doing cardio in the garage. My dog was downstairs, and I had my headphones in, was listening to just hardcore punishing death metal. Yes. And he was on the other side. I guess he was barking. I didn't hear him. So I opened up the door. It was pitch black. I'm wearing a big hoodie. He jumped up and grabbed my lip and tore it wide open. Like just ripped it completely off. It's folded over. Nice. There's gash here, all shit. And my wife heard, she came running downstairs. She's like, what happened? I'm like, I got to go to the ER. And she goes, what happened? I like dropped the rag by then. My lip like just folds over. She's like, oh my God. I'm like, it's fine. Literally go in. The guy looks at me. He goes, all right, let me see. I drop. He goes, you need to go to Vanderbilt. You need to be under general anesthetic. It's bad. And I'm like, oh man, it's going to be like 4 hours of my life. Like, I know I'm going to feel like shit from the blood loss. And then this old lady nurse pipes up. She goes, doctor, you did sew an ear back on a few weeks ago. And I was like, you sewed an ear back on? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you're my guy. So he lidocaines me up, gets all the stuff. He goes, all right, man, I'm so sorry your day's so bad. Because this is like 5 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. I said, don't worry, buddy. I used to have a business partner that lit my day on fire at 2 a.m. So this is an easy day. But that's like where you go through life. And you just get these challenges. And it was funny because I get home. My wife's like, what are you? I'm like, I'm going to lay down for 2 hours, relax. I'm going to do my check-ins for my clients. But you have to talk. I'm like, well, I guess I'll figure it out. You just got to keep going. Yeah. And I think that's where, when you ask me like what my relentless pursuit is, I don't know if I actually have one other than just I don't want life to say it beat me. Yeah. So you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. Just keep going. Maybe it's as simple as that. Well, I just don't want to say life beat me. It's as simple, man. You just keep going. You hunt down the goal. You eat. You repeat. You repeat the cycle itself, right? Over and over again. Yep. But just like a wolf does, man. Like that constant. You're always on the hunt, dude. Y'all fucking get the prey, but then you go on the next hunt. It's 100%. Just. I love it, man. That's awesome, man. You got me fired up, dude. I'm ready to start the day over, man. Easy before I am again. I was up this morning at 2:50. Hell yeah. I was in my office by 4 after I did my morning routine, all that by 4:10 to 4:45, writing copy, looking at stuff, doing things. Dude. I got an extra 3 hours a week in my morning by I was laying in bed. I was using the time thinking. And then the other day I was like, man, all the time I'm sitting there thinking bad, you could be doing decisive action now. This is the phase. And I think that's something that you have to ask when you're listening to this. You're hearing two business owners. And this is where the metal, I guess, hits the rubber out there, when you're trying to peel it out and rip it. There's a time where you and I know we need to think, and there's a time that you and I know we need to act. Yep. And I think that more people need to learn to rely on that instinct. Yeah, that's perfect. Well said. There's never going to be the perfect time. Well said, dude. You got to figure that out for yourself, but there's always the time. Jeff, hell yeah, man. I mean, that's a perfect ending, dude. Dude, one thing I want to say is, where can people find you, man? How can everybody support you, Jeff? I'm on Instagram. Jeff Unbreakable Black. I have yet to be censored and kick off there.
Yeah.
My website's. I'm not. Hey,
I'm flattered.
I'm actually kind of jealous at this point. I did get hammered a lot during 2020 and some of the Ukraine stuff, but JeffUnbreakableBlack.com. If you're looking to buy a copy of my book, they're all signed by me. The form. So if you want a personalized release, it supports a small business owner, author like myself. And then if you guys looking to find me on YouTube, I'm on a podcast with two of my buddies, Robo and Scooby, who you've met. ATG, Jeff, Scooby, and Robo Show. So we just kind of hang out over there. We do fitness, high-end coaching stuff. We do a lot of mental health stuff and then business stuff. So just a little different take with me and my buds, and that's what we wanted. So
Jeff, hell yeah. You're the man, dude.
Dude, thank you for bringing me down here. I can't say enough good things about you, man.
Likewise.
Like, you know, I told your wife she was very lucky to get a man of your character, and I meant that. And I want to say to other men that there's no other compliment that I can think of giving another man than being able to say that.
Yeah.
To another man's wife, partner, things like that. And that's taken me a while to be able to do that. So if you're a younger man, start now, because you know what? It feels good when you really mean it, because I know over my life I really meant it, but I didn't want to sound like gay or sound like this emotional little like weeping willow tree or anything.
Yeah.
And I've learned over time that, hey, there's some power, there's some strength, there's some honor in being able to just look another man in the face saying like, I deeply respect you.
Yeah.
And we might come from different paths, but you know what? We have a bond, and that's more important than the past.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm extremely grateful, man. And I feel the same towards you, dude. Like that's reciprocated. And I hope you know I feel the exact same. I'm going to tell your wife next time I see her. But
don't tell her too much. I like to let her down.
I mean, he's so great.
So nice. Dude, fist bump, man. This has been a good fucking one.
Hell yeah,
I
man.
appreciate it, man.
This is a blast. Hey, y'all check him out. Show him some love. And Jeff, I'm looking forward to next time already, bro.
Yeah, bro. We'll have you on mine because I want to talk about self-hate being the best form of self-love you could do.
Yes.
We need to talk about that. That's one we got to talk on.
We'll do it, bro. Looking forward to it.
Peace.
Take care. Thanks. Bro, that was fire.
That went good.
Dude, that just fucking was guns blazing.